Welcome everyone, it's episode 14 of
We're
AudaCity.
back in person!
The VeloCityOKC show. I'm Nate Fisher, I'm the Director of Communications here at the Greater OKC Chamber.
I don't know why I'm doing this with my arms, but that's okay. I'm Kaylee McDaniel and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager, also here at the Chamber. Very excited to be back in person filming our first AudaCity episode since we determined late February when we were at Anthem?
Coop.
We were at Coop in late February. So that was the last time that we, along with our filmers and audio extraordinaire, Josh and Tracy, who you can't see behind the camera but are equally important, it's the last time we've been all together in one space. So
yeah,
it feels really good to be back.
Episode 14.
Oh, no.
This is a very auspicious episode number, I think.
Yeah.
You know, 14 is it's a cool number.
It is. That's the day I was born, so I've always liked 14 as a number.
Yeah?
So we're gonna get into this.
Well, I think
love that number.
14's a great number. You know why?
Number.
Because it has factors of 7 and 2.
You're such a nerd.
7 is automatically cool because it's a lucky number.
That's right. Yeah, 7
just a lucky
is
number.
Universally
and
acknowledged.
then 2 is the only even prime number, so that makes it cool also. So
Yeah.
Episode 14.
Episode 14.
We're here.
Be a good one.
Yeah, this is good. So tell me a little bit about your going back to work experience. So we talked last time on the podcast about, we hadn't quite been allowed to come back to the office. So now we're back into the office, and what's that experience been like for you?
It's been okay. We are back. We have been back for over a month now, and for the most part, it's fine, except it's a little more isolated than our normal office experience.
Right.
So as an extrovert, not as fun, I'll be honest, and having to wear a mask to, get a drink of water, kind of a downer. But, it's always nice to be back in the office. It's good to be around our coworkers from 6 feet away, as I mentioned. It's been it's always good to get back into a routine, and I appreciate having a reason to wake up earlier every day. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, the office has done a pretty good job of instituting some rules and regulations and some protocols around things like cleaning and wearing masks when you're in the office or in the common areas. Yeah. You don't have to when you're in your own office, but yeah, it's a little. I was glad to get back to work and kind of be around people, but it's also a little bit of a bummer because you can't kind of have those spontaneous sort of pop-in moments where and talk to people. We're still doing a lot of things over Zoom and meeting over Zoom, even though we're in the same building.
Which I don't hate. I actually really like the Zoom meeting. It's very efficient because I can be like typing an email that they asked me to write while I'm on the meeting. So for me, I kind of like that. It does take away some of the fun culture things that we had going on here. I mean, all of our staff were pretty good friends with each other, so not being able to see your friends is a little bit harder, but hey, I'll take what we can get at this point. I'm glad we're back in the office, and I'm glad to do it safely. Right.
Well, that's a good segue to the other thing that we wanted to talk about here, kind of to kick off the show, and that's around this idea of masking and masking up. So let me ask you, what's your kind of go-to everyday mask of choice? What are you working with here?
This is a harder question for me than you might think, because before we came back to the office, I had made one mask and I thought, I'll buy 3 more. That'll give me 4 masks. I can trade it up, etc. So I went to Commandeer, their website. That's a Oklahoma City local retailer located in 9th Street Automobile Alley area. Okay. And I ordered 3 masks from them. And not 20 minutes later, I had a knock on my door. It was a delivery person. And my mom had sent me 6 additional masks. So I have 10, not counting the one that we got from the chamber when we came back. I have lots of options. So it's very hard for me to pick my favorite.
Right.
I got to give a shout out to Commandeer for the local options. It's always good to support our local shops when you can. But my mom did buy me a Nancy Drew mask, and Nancy Drew is kind of my thing. I collect Nancy Drew books, so I really appreciate those. Probably wear them more than anything else. Yeah. So what about you? What's your favorite mask to wear these days? A question no one would have asked before 2020.
I mean, I find myself this is kind of my go-to mask. It's a KN95er.
There you go.
So, I don't know. And you can actually, it's pretty easy to reuse these things by boiling them, evidently. I've done some research online, and this is the way you boil it 6 minutes on each side, I think, something like that. Yeah, I've actually got multiple uses out of these things.
That's good to know.
They seem to be holding up pretty well. But I've got the surgical type, I've got the cloth. It just sort of depends on the situation,
Do you find that there's a mask that's more business professional? Because I've been sort of obsessed with this idea. Would you wear just solid black if you had to wear a suit and a mask? Is that the direction
a good question. I don't know. Yeah, you may want to coordinate things a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the next level sartorialism. When you start,
that's what you have to do these days.
Coordinating, your tie tie with your mask and your pocket square. Maybe
I
something
saw
like
a picture of a man that had matching fabric for his tie and mask. It was so extra, and I was into it. I loved it.
So I know I'd almost feel a little bit embarrassed if I were that coordinated.
If you did it, I would support you.
Well, okay, I appreciate that. So speaking of masks, this is something that we can talk about because we're actually getting ready to launch a Mask Up campaign for Oklahoma City, right?
Yes.
And so do you want to tell us a little bit about that, or do you want me to talk about it?
No, I can get us started. I mean, you know that Mayor Holt and the City Council voted in an emergency session to have masks worn inside in public buildings in Oklahoma City. So that's already kind of the rule of law around here these days. But we're launching just an awareness campaign to help get the message out that, hey, these masks are very important to our economic success, the health of our residents. I mean, they truly are the easiest and most important way that we can all personally stop the spread of the virus.
Right.
So we're filming some PSA spots that will be online and on TV. We also have these little masks here that will be distributed. We're working with the City County Health Department, I believe, on that. So we've got some resources that will be coming out. I think we'll officially launch those spots in probably about 2 weeks from when we're speaking right now, which is July 31st. So second week of August, maybe the early third week of August, we should have those spots live. And
right. And the idea is
it'll help. Just get the news out that this is important.
The idea is just to encourage people to wear a mask whenever you're out in public. And the idea is really, it doesn't have anything to do with any sort of political statements or anything like that. The basic idea is basically to keep our businesses open and keep people's livelihoods intact,
right?
And keeping those types of things going in a positive manner.
I think a lot of people are thinking about what's happening right now in two different ways. It's either we shut down and our economy is tanking, or if we're open, people are getting sick. And this is kind of the way to solve both of those problems, or at least help address them. So you want the economy to keep rolling, put your mask on.
Right.
If you want to protect lives, put your mask on. Either way, mask. That's the simplest way to address both things.
And the new unemployment figures for the MSA just came out, I believe, a couple of days ago, and we're actually the third lowest for unemployment MSA in the country right now. So we're still way off where we want to be. It's 7%. The unemployment rate is 7%. So that's obviously way too high. Nobody's in really good shape at this point, I don't think. But by wearing the mask, this is a way that we can continue to make positive progress towards that. So it went from 7% down from 12.9% the previous month. So
progress, but still could be better.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is a way that we can keep things open and keep the economy moving, and hopefully continue to move towards a recovery.
I think that's a good transition too for us to talk a little bit about one sector that's really been hard hit, and that's small businesses in Oklahoma City. We're getting some sad news for those of us that are downtown that some of our favorite downtown restaurants are closing, which is heartbreaking. So how have you, I know both of us are really committed to small businesses, and we enjoy going out, we enjoy supporting them. So what are some of the favorite ones that you've experienced during all of this? Yeah,
well, I've had some pretty good experiences with some local businesses that are doing some interesting kind of inventive things to try to mitigate their staff's potential exposure, but also trying to, it's the kind of the same idea with the mask, is trying to kind of work with what you have and see if you can improve some things. So I know Blue 7, one of our favorite local retailers, don't think they're a chain, remember, they need to get on board.
Come on, guys.
Let's join up. Should get on this train. But yeah, Blue 7, for instance, they had a really good shoe sale the other day. So some shoes, and you were able to order them online and then just go pick them up. They would bring them out to your car. So I thought that was really nice. Had a couple good dinners at Hacienda Tacos in Midtown, which is cool because outdoor seating again, so we could go sit out and kind of be in this sort of environment where we're outdoors, the air is moving around, it felt really safe, but they had some live music on the patio, really good food, and also really good atmosphere, and it was nice to be able to do those sorts of things again that we haven't been able to do for a while. And then a couple other good experiences. Elk Valley, they've got some new umbrellas up on their rooftop, so we were able to kind of hang out up there in some misters, so it was nice to be kind of, again, be outside, be away from people, but also kind of be around people and doing that type of thing and tasting some of our local breweries. Lively Brewery is actually
still have not been there.
They've got a really nice tap room, and they've added some outdoor seating too. So the other day I was able to go out there and hang out outside and try some of their tap room only stuff. So so those are kind of some experiences that I've had, even kind of in the midst of the pandemic. So how about yourself?
Yeah, similar to you, I've definitely been able to support some of our local businesses and have been impressed with the ways that they're adapting to all this. So I mentioned earlier that I got some of my masks at Commandeer. That is, at least as of right now, they're only doing online orders with pickup, and they can also ship to you. So they set my package out on their porch, and I just walked up and got it, and I paid online, and it was so easy. Same thing with Full Circle Books. I have been there both in person and done their curbside delivery. Actually, Full Circle was the first place I went back after we kind of entered a new area of whatever level we were in May, and that was the first place I went to celebrate. It felt very safe. Everyone was wearing their mask inside, and I know they're having some live events, but they're doing it with limitations for how many people can be there and the social distancing. I haven't gone to those, but I've definitely purchased more than a few books to keep me company during quarantine, and really appreciate them. And I actually went back and I was like, what restaurants have I been to the most during all this? So I made a list. The Press, I have ordered from them multiple times, picked it up. Shish Mahal, delicious food. Their cheese naan, yum, so good. Then I found Manna Cuisine of India, also really good. Their butter chicken, amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you're ever in the mood for
good.
Indian food, those are two good recommendations. I frequently appreciate Taco Tuesday at Iguano Mexican Grill. I love that place, and I believe they're a chamber member. So definitely support all the support they've given us, and love their food. And then Abel's Mexican restaurants close to my house. I've been there a few times.
The legendary.
So good. And they all offer things that you can carry out or have delivered. So it's easy if you don't really want to go out and be in the mix with people yet. You can have people, go pick it up or have a delivery service bring it over. And I've really appreciated having that a little too much, honestly. I need to reel it back in. And then I went to Roughdale Brewing a couple of times. They do have patio seating, and I sat inside. It felt very safe and clean. And then just last night, I went to Belle Brewery. First time I've been there in a long time.
Oh, great.
And they mentioned that they are just now able, I think this year, to start brewing their own stuff again. There was a discrepancy in the liquor laws that wouldn't allow them to because they didn't own their building, but that has been addressed. So they are brewing their own stuff once again. And so had a good time. Again, it felt very safe. People wearing masks, they were distanced, and it was nice.
Very good, Belle Isle's a staple, and they've been brewing for a long, long time. They've always had some good stuff there, so that's great to hear. We also are seeing some sports coming back. So, of course, we know that the Thunder is starting. The Dodgers are not going to play this season, unfortunately. But the Energy FC is playing, and you're actually allowed to go to the games. I know, it's amazing. So it's cool to kind of see that, to see that kind of thing start up again, and some entertainment options. And again, that's being outdoors in a stadium where you're even, and they're doing some controls on, making sure people aren't getting too close. And, that's the kind of thing that I think is important, to go out and not only support the team, but also, do yourself a favor and get out of the house a little bit,
That's right.
in a safe manner.
I was telling you before we started filming that I have watched Cornhole on ESPN because that is how dire the sports situation has been with nothing going on this summer. So it is nice to have a few live things back, especially seeing the Thunder playing from, what do they call it, the bubble? The bubble, right. In Florida. So it's good to see at least a few things back that we can use to occupy our minds during this time.
I did myself enjoy some slippery stairs competition on the Ocho the other day. that was I kind of feel you on that. So speaking of things that are happening and things that are coming up, one of our biggest events that we started last year was Elevate. This is Oklahoma City's new professional development conference. Obviously, last year this was an in-person event.
That's right.
So we had keynote sessions and breakout sessions and lots of networking. But the good news is it's going to be virtual this year. But the good news is all those things are still happening.
You're right, actually. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges for my work here at the Chamber personally has been that we have pivoted all of our events through the end of the year to online, just because people don't, not only should we not be in a room with each other that close, but people don't want to be in a room with each other that closely. So Elevate, like you said, brand new last year, and we have pivoted that completely to an online professional development experience. So it's going to have all of the hallmarks and touchstones that you experienced last year. We'll have keynote speakers. We're going to have breakout sessions that fall under different tracks, so you kind of choose your own adventure about what you most need to learn to better your career.
I like that.
It's
Just
true.
got a flashback
Yeah,
to the
Choose
War
Your Own
Acres
Adventure.
Library.
There you go.
Checking out Choose Your Own Adventure
Library.
books.
That's where I go. So it will be like that experience, but even better when you're at Elevate coming up later this fall. So we do have a keynote speaker, Valerie Burton, and she's going to talk about how to be resilient and ready, thriving in the midst of change, which definitely feels like a needed message during this time since so many of our day-to-day lives are changing a little bit from what they used to be. Another cool thing is that she's going to do a master class for us that talks about how you got so busy and how to kind of re-energize your work and personal life in the midst of a very busy schedule. And so that masterclass is only available to the highest tier of ticket purchasers. So if that's interesting to you, you can go ahead and buy those tickets online at okcelevate.com. But in addition to the 2 sessions that she's going to be doing, we have Dr. Nathan Meller from Strata Leadership. He's going to provide another keynote experience for us. And then we'll have more than 20, honestly, it's probably going to be more than 30 once we get done confirming all of our speakers,
right.
But we'll have breakout sessions that are for everyone from people that do sales for their company, people that manage other people. If you're new to your career or you want to become a better leader, we're going to have topics that are going to speak directly to those those tracks.
And you can choose different subjects, different tracks, whatever you're interested in, whatever you need to get as far as professional development is concerned. So,
And the cool thing this year, which I'm personally excited about, because last year I didn't get to sit on one class or speaker because we were too busy just making sure everything went, the way it was supposed to. This year we're going to record all of the keynote and breakout presentations, and so our middle tier of ticket holders, which that's a $99 pass for the whole day, they'll be able to access all of the breakout sessions. So say if you have 2 scheduled at the same time, you wanted to see both of them, you can watch it later,
right.
Which
Perfect.
I'm personally very excited about.
That's
I know
great.
there are several speakers that I will want to learn from.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned, we're trying to recreate that networking aspect the best we can. So we're going to have a digital happy hour. We're going to have virtual virtual, what's the word I'm looking for?
Expeditions.
Virtual
expeditions. You'll go hunting for lions and tigers and things.
What's the word?
Great.
Exhibitors. Thank you. We're going to have virtual exhibitors of chamber member companies that are going to be highlighting their product or service, their business. And we're going to have the thing I'm most excited about. We're going to bring in fitness instructors, yoga teachers, live music, artists, so that when we have breaks throughout the day, when you may be visiting a booth or networking one-on-one, you'll also be able to experience live music or a quick chair yoga break at your desk. So we're definitely doing all we can to make this a fun and memorable online event, and we know that people are going to find just as much value in it this year as we did last year, even though it's a different setting.
That's cool. Well, speaking as someone who has nothing to do with the event planning side of things, I've just been so impressed with the way that our events team here in-house has really been able to pivot and provide really good, enriching experiences to people, even given the limitations that we're under.
Yeah.
So it's just, I've been really impressed. So you guys be on the lookout for Elevate. What are the dates for Elevate?
Elevate's going to take place on Thursday, October 29th, and that's going to be from the comfort of your own home or your computer. So I hope you can join.
Yeah, awesome. So speaking of learning things, it's about that time of year, back to school time, and things are all in flux.
I was going to say, have you ever known such a chaotic back to school time?
Yes.
It feels very stressful. Neither of us have children. I'm just going to be upfront about that so we can kind of observe and not be as personally connected to it. But I definitely feel for every parent, all the teachers, the employers that are dealing with all of the crazy transitions to online learning. It is a challenging time to be in education and to be a student right now, honestly.
And we've got a couple of events coming up that are going to speak to some of these concerns.
Yeah, we do. On Friday, October 7th, we're going to have an Enlighten. This is a free webinar. It lasts 1 hour from noon to 1, and we're going to feature Oklahoma City Public Schools, Millwood School District, Yukon School District, and Edmond. All of those superintendents will be on hand to talk 5 to 7 minutes about what their school is going to do. This is something that is literally changing, it feels like, every day.
Absolutely.
So the plans that were in place a month ago are not the plans that they have now. I know parents and employers all have a lot of questions about what this is going to look like in practice. So we're really excited to have those for school leaders on hand to answer questions. We're also bringing in a lawyer from McAtee and Taft to talk about how this impacts employers and what their policies need to be regarding parents that might need flex time or to work remotely as they're providing education for their students, or at least supervision for their students while they are being educated. So that is hopefully going to provide some answers for people who are able to be on that event. And you can sign up online. Like I said, it is free at okcchamber.com/events. The following week, so on the 12th of August, we're going to have State of the Schools, and that's an event we've had for years that features kind of what's going on in education in the greater Oklahoma City region. Well, as you can imagine, this year it is more chaotic than ever, as I mentioned. So we'll have a similar panel with Oklahoma City Public Schools. We're going to have the superintendent of Norman, and then we're going to have a representative from Epic Charter Schools, which was just named. They just revealed that they're the largest school district in Oklahoma, growing at 1,000 students a day, which makes me want to hyperventilate. That sounds terrifying. And then we're also going to have the representative of the Oklahoma Public Schools Resource Center. So we're going to have a really good panel discussion with them about how they are all adapting to meet the needs of online education, which is a standard for almost every district in the metro area. They at least have an option to do online only. We'll have a panel of college and university leaders, including the new president of OU, president of OSU, president of OCU, and then president of OCCC. They'll all be there to talk about what their institutions are doing. And then we will have a keynote speaker. There's a lot.
You're getting a lot for your money with this event, really.
That is the dang truth. Jamie Kaseup, he was Google's former education evangelist. He was their Chief Education Evangelist, I think was his title. So he has been in this space of digital education for years. So I think his keynote remarks will also be very helpful to people as they figure out how to navigate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be two good events that are really going to address something right now that I know is causing a lot of questions and confusion for a lot of people, and I hope they'll be helpful as we all figure out what comes next.
This is, again, putting together the mix of speakers and panelists. It's an all-star set of panelists and speakers for this event, honestly. So that's some good stuff. So don't miss that. So
just to give you an idea of why this is so chaotic, as we have said 3 times, confusing for a lot of people. I went this morning, so this is as of today,
as of the time of recording.
Which could change, like I said. Here's kind of a rundown of what a lot of the bigger school districts are doing in Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City Public Schools has announced that they are online only for the first 9 weeks, and they pushed the start date of their school semester to August 31st. So originally that was supposed to be the 10th of August. So that's 3 additional weeks for them to kind of prepare. I believe they also have a completely online learning platform that will be self-led, but what they're providing students, it sounds like, will be teachers in their classroom connecting with students via a digital device. So that's what they're doing. Edmond Public Schools, they recently just announced that they're doing a blended model of learning that'll start on the 20th. So that's using like an A/B schedule where students will be in the classroom on Monday, Tuesday, and then do remote learning on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or vice versa. So they'll have Wednesday with no students in the school, so they can do a deep clean, and that will half the number of students that are in their building at any given time to enable some more social distancing, making sure not a lot of people are there. So that's something that they're managing. They also have an all online option called Virtual Edmond that they're running. Putnam City Schools, another large school district here in Oklahoma City area, they're going to do distant learning for the first 9 weeks. That starts on August 21st. Moore Public Schools has 3 options that parents can choose from. So one is a full on-site traditional classroom setting. And they've built in some, remote learning days in case people need it to quarantine or whatever happens. They also have a blended option, and they have an all online option. So those are the 3 options you have if you go to Moore Public Schools. Norman is the same way. 3 options. One's traditional classroom, one is blended, one is all online. So they're managing that for their students, which, woo. And Yukon Public School also recently announced that they're going online only for the first 9 weeks. So that's just a few of the school districts that parents, of this region are sending their school kids to. I mean, it's a lot to keep up with.
Good luck to you parents out there.
And good luck to the teachers and administrators that have to make these decisions. I mean, it truly is, everyone keeps saying it, but it's true. It's unprecedented to see how people manage this. And I'm hopeful that the school districts will be able to manage it and minimize, the health issues that might be at play here.
Right. Well, we'll see how that shakes out, Kaylee.
Yes, we will. And if you want to hear from some of those superintendents, like you said, you can attend our free Enlighten event or pay to come to State of Schools. So those are 2 options available.
Do it to it. Okay. So some other things that we've been working on that we thought that you guys would be interested in seeing is, I don't know if you guys have realized this, but we have a website that's called VeloCityOKC.com.
I have never heard of it.
I know, if you haven't heard of this, but if you're interested in kind of keeping up with what's going on in Oklahoma City in terms of the economy and new announcements and new developments and all kinds of things to do, VeloCityOKC is a great place to go. So we've got news stories on there every business day, and sometimes even on non-business days.
And sometimes I forget to post mine, and Nate gets a little angry at me. But then I remember, and it's fine. We work it out. It's okay.
But we've had some really good stories on there lately that we wanted to call you guys' attention to, and we'll have links to all these in the show notes and in the description box, depending on your listening/viewing experience, whatever that is. We've had a really cool story on Avis Diagnostics. So these are two guys. They're originally from India, and they were doing some graduate studies here in the United States, and they had a really good idea for a company that is involved in type 2 diagnostics, type 2 diabetes diagnostics, basically. And what they did was they started Googling where are the best places to start a business, and they started seeing Oklahoma City on a lot of these third-party lists, and that's one of the main reasons that they decided to check Oklahoma City out as a place to come and to start this business. So we've got a really nice profile on them in VeloCityOKC, Avis Diagnostics. Last year's Metro 50 #1 winner, Clubhouse Trailer. So this is a company that has been doing really, really good business even in spite of the pandemic, because what they do is they build trailers for high school and college marching bands, right? It's a very particular niche, and they're the only ones doing it. It's very, very cool. And yeah, their business is doing very, very well, and they've been doing some expanding, and so we've got a nice piece on them. We've got a good piece on the film and TV production industry. So if you're like a lot of people, you've been watching a lot of things, maybe a lot more things on television and on your devices than maybe you have in the past. Where does all that content come from? Yeah, it's got to get made somewhere. So.
And I want to say too, this is kind of breaking news. Our September Chamber Forum is actually going to be a panel discussion on the film industry in Oklahoma.
Oh, great. So, that is breaking news, because I hadn't heard that, so that's great.
I'm in the process of confirming speakers, but we're going to have a really, really fun panel talking about how movie production is going here. You know, I think at one point in time, we were doing the only live movie production in the world post-corona was taking place here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So, I mean, there's cool things happening there, and I can't wait to highlight that somewhere.
Yeah, so yeah, we've got a nice story about that and some of the productions that have been taking place here recently and how much that industry has grown, and so that's a really cool thing. We've had a really cool announcement from a company called Skydweller, and they are developing an autonomous plane that basically flies by itself forever.
I'm saying no to that. I mean, I hope they're successful in Oklahoma City, but that's terrifying.
But they announced that Oklahoma City is going to be kind of their regional back office HQ, their headquarters, and they're going to do some production work in Ardmore also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's very, very cool. So we've got a nice story about that. Costco, we had a really great announcement with Costco recently, bringing a back office HQ operation here. So to do some things supporting some of their financial services and some of the travel business that they do. So not kind of the store aspect, but the initial announcement was 1,000 new jobs. They've actually since upped that to projecting 1,500 new jobs over the next 5 years. So we've got a good rundown about that. Boeing is expanding their physical presence here in Oklahoma City. They've announced recently, and so that's hopefully going to involve some more job expansion as well from Boeing. So that's great news. Tinker's KC46 campus, we've got a really good story on that. This is actually the largest, the construction of this campus to support the KC46. This is the largest base construction project since the 40s. And if you guys remember about what was going on in the 40s,
World War.
There was a lot of things going around in the defense area. So this is kind of a big deal, and so this is expected to result in a whole lot of new jobs for Oklahoma City as well. So a lot of good stories there. Kratos. They manufacture unmanned aircraft for the military primarily, and they just signed a new contract that's going to, and that they've announced is going to involve some production work both here and in some of their California facilities.
Fantastic.
So, but yeah, new
They've
work
already
here.
had a lot of success in Oklahoma Oklahoma City in just a short couple of years since they opened, which is really exciting.
Right, absolutely. So that's cool. Kind of speaking to that idea, you know, again, here at the Chamber, we're all about creating a good economic environment for companies to grow. So we've got a nice story about a recent Chamber forum that we've had that involved some of our companies and why they chose to grow here in Oklahoma City, and not only the factors that kind of go into play in terms of, you know, deciding to invest more here locally in Oklahoma City and grow their job numbers here, but also maybe some of the things that we can do to help support that and keep that moving and to grow even more.
What was cool about that panel too was that we chose 3 people who all represented companies in different stages of growth. So
in different industries.
Exactly. So MD Building Products, for example, they were founded in Oklahoma in 1920. Then we featured Dell, which of course was a big relocation project that we did in the early 2000s, and then Rural Sourcing, which is a more recent relocation expansion to Oklahoma City. So all of those things kind of helped get a snapshot of what companies experience in different phases of their growth, different industries, like you said. So that was a fun panel discussion to work on.
Yeah, so we've got a nice recap about that. We've had, if you've been curious about how the state capitol renovations are going, you know, the exterior is complete and they're working on the interior, so we've got a really nice piece on that that you should check out. And we've got some new stuff that's coming up that you should be on the lookout for. So our July forum is going to be all about downtown development, so you should actually pay to see that event and to participate in that event. But if you don't, we will have a recap. Generally 3 to 4 or 5 weeks later, we'll have a little recap about that.
And you may be hearing like the jackhammer construction sounds right now.
Things are happening.
A little preview of downtown development as we speak, honestly.
We are getting ready to launch round 2 of the Small Business Continuity Program. So we'll have some information about that early next week, possibly about the same time that this podcast is released. So be on the lookout for that, especially if you are a small business owner or you know a small business owner here in Oklahoma City that needs some help due to the pandemic. We're going to have round 2 of our local small business continuity program. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. River Sport, we're going to have a good update on some new things that they have going on. Their surf facility that I've been really excited about.
I can't wait.
That's getting ready to open. So we're going to have an update on that. We're going to have a profile on Spear's new technologies, which is really cool. They're what they basically do is recondition batteries that are used in electric vehicles and other applications.
That's cool.
And so that's obviously a business that's projected to grow. So that's really cool. So be on the lookout for that. Oklahoma City is also involved in what's called the START Coalition.
That's right.
And so we're going to have an update on kind of the progress around that. And basically that was basically, we're kind of a test city for putting into practice different things that businesses can do to operate and open safely in kind of this environment.
Yeah, I think OMRF has been really involved in that. We
OMRF
actually
and OUHSC
spoke a little bit about that at the State of Health event we had earlier this month. So it's very interesting. Obviously an honor to be selected, and I think we can be really effective in helping cities learn how to navigate the challenges of the coronavirus moving forward.
So we're going to have an update on that and some of the research that's been going on and what's been found out so far. And of course, we've got lots of coronavirus related stuff. If you're interested in any of that,
can't get enough.
Tips on operating safely, enforcement for signs and for the mask ordinance. If you've been wondering, like, I see all these people without masks and they should be wearing masks. Like, how do I deal with that?
Yeah.
Got some tips on maybe how to handle that sort of thing. Career Tech and Metro Tech, they've been doing a lot of program development around retraining opportunities and trying
a lot of that is going virtual too, so people can do it from the safety of their own home.
Absolutely. So we've got
workplace.
some good stuff about that's hit here recently. Lots of good things on VeloCityOKC.com, so be sure to check that out. And and the other thing that we've, if you know somebody that is new to Oklahoma City or is that's thinking about moving to Oklahoma City, maybe, we've got a new welcome guide out.
That's right. Our colleague Molly Fleming recently just completed the welcome guide. We redo this once a year just to make sure it's up to date with all the best information about housing, education, climate, the culture, districts, things to do, that sort of thing. So that is updated and available to anyone who has recently moved here, who is thinking about moving here, and also for companies who might be recruiting people. We can do large print runs for people on demand as they need them. So please give us a call, contact us. You can go to abetterlifeokc.com, fill out a form so that you can get however many of those you need. It's kind of funny. I was actually talking to Molly about this the other day, and she asked me how long we had been doing the welcome guide. And I was like, as long as I've been here, which has been 9 years. It's been forever. I'm sure longer. And I actually went back a few years ago. Someone brought us a publication that the Chamber, produced in 1937. That was basically, hey, this is how great it is to live in Oklahoma City. And so I send her a link to that. It's we can actually include a link in the show notes because it's on our Flipping Book account.
Oh, great.
But it's kind of funny to see that the Chamber has been in the business of welcoming new residents since at least the 30s, probably before, if we're being honest. But it's very interesting to see how our messaging has really remained pretty consistent for almost 90 years at this point. So it was a very, very fun find of the day.
See here, and we thought we were coming up with something new.
Everything old is new
10 or
again.
so years ago, yeah. But in fact,
Tevas are back in.
Tevas are back
in.
The 90s are coming back, evidently.
They are. Nate is a participant in it.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. This is going to be great. So what's your favorite aspect of the 90s that is coming back, evidently?
I'm going to go with scrunchies. I really enjoy scrunchies.
Okay.
I've purchased multiple scrunchies to wear, and I am glad that they're back. So I also, I was telling Nate earlier, I have a little bit of a shame, love, hate relationship with bike shorts. They're so comfortable. I don't necessarily think they're that cute on me, but I enjoy wearing them. So I did buy a pair from Target. Confessions.
Well, I'm going to have to try to dig out some of my Yaga t-shirts.
There you go.
Some Massimo shirts, that sort of thing.
Massimo.
Some hypercolor, right?
Yeah.
Is that about what we're talking about here?
I think so.
Maybe some Jinko jeans.
Please don't.
Have those really big?
Hey, you could like sweep the floors with how long and wide those pant legs are. Oh no.
Dual purpose.
Did you wear Jinkos?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Can we find
with my
photos?
docs.
Can we? I did wear Doc Martens. Now that was a good time. I would bring back Doc Martens. If I found a pair, I would buy those.
I think those are coming back too.
I'll wear them. I'll wear them this fall.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, everyone. I'm going to wear them at our fall AudaCity recording.
You have to pay a little extra to get the ones that are actually made in England still,
Okay.
But yeah,
Keep that in
very
mind.
cool. Very cool. You should do that. Airwear.
So I feel like we both need to acknowledge a way that we're getting through coronavirus is through Taylor Swift's new album, True Confessions. Now, I feel like no one is surprised that I'm a Taylor Swift fan, but you're also a fan.
I'm a little bit of a Swiftie.
You're a little bit of a Swiftie.
Yeah.
And I really like finding out which songs you like the best. So any thoughts on her newest release?
Well, it made me really emotional. I don't know why.
I think it strips down to her strength, which is songwriting, and that is just so on display in this album.
Yeah.
And it's a heartfelt album from her.
To my ears, she also kind of leaned in hard to sort of I'm a really big indie rock fan. That's really kind of what I listen to all the time. And you can really hear a lot of the songs on the album are really distinctive in terms of how they remind me of other kind of songs that I like that are from that genre and that milieu. So yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I had a strangely strong emotional.
Did you cry? Be honest.
I don't think I did,
Okay,
but it's probably because I was just running around. So.
Oh, you listen to it to run? That's a very mellow running.
I know. Well, I usually
soundtrack.
don't listen to music when I run.
Yeah,
I usually
you're more
listen
of
to
a
podcasts.
podcast guy.
As you should.
Yeah.
Right? Listen to this one
He probably
too. Yeah.
listens to AudaCity when he runs. Let's critique. How did we do it the last one? I don't know. Be honest. Have you done that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I knew it.
Well, I want to make sure it sounds good on the other side.
I think that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. How about you?
My favorite song is Invisible Strings. Love it. That's one of the best ones. Like I said, I just appreciate her songwriting anyway, and so I feel like it's on display in this album, and I love it.
It was a nice surprise.
It's going to be a good fall album. It has a fall tone to it that I think I'll really enjoy in like September, October.
It does. All right. So anything else that we want to talk about?
I think we're about done.
Okay.
We're done.
It's
No, I
like
think
the Mummy movies. We're trying to wrap this thing up. All right.
We will be back hopefully more frequently as we are kind of easing into being in the office again.
Right.
And outside weather is only going to get a little bit better between now and November.
Hopefully so. That's correct. That's
we'll be
correct.
back.
So yeah, we will see you guys. We thank you guys for joining us. If this is your first time happening upon the podcast, please do subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and then hit the bell so you get the notifications for the new episodes as they come out.
That's right.
And also please pass this along to friends that you think may be interested in what's going on in Oklahoma City. That's what this podcast is all about, is kind of like what's new and what's happening and some things that you should know about to get the most out of your experience here in Oklahoma City.
And you can always connect with us too. Sending us an email is probably the best way to do it. networking@okcchamber.com. The chamber is also on almost any social media platform, not TikTok, sorry. I know you were looking for some like stupid videos from Nate, but that's not gonna happen. Anywhere else?
We were told in no uncertain terms,
No
we were
TikTok.
not allowed to have TikTok on our chamber devices.
That is true. I forgot that they said that.
Yeah, there are some dubious connections to the Chinese government that
is
maybe you want to avoid, but that's up to you, I suppose.
But if you want to find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, those are all of our hotspots right there. You can jump on, follow us there, and we post a lot of information about what's going on in Oklahoma City, links to Velocity stories, etc.
Yeah, so follow us there.
Great place to find us and stay informed about what's going on.
Absolutely. So we appreciate it, guys, and we will see you all next time. Be safe.
Be safe. Wear your mask.